you this now. Cash and transit heists have been in the spotlight for a number of weeks now. On top of that, robberies and ATM bombings have become prevalent. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says there is just too much money circulating in, of course, its effort to combat crime. The province is now considering, though, going cashless. So tomorrow it's holding a Cashless Indaba with all the stakeholders, and the Premier joins me now to have this conversation. Premier, thank you so much for your time and a good afternoon to you. Well, it seems like you're putting your money where your mouth is, because not so long ago, I mean, you really did express that going cashless may be the way to go for the province. Now we hear and understand there's a Cashless Indaba where you'll be engaging multiple stakeholders quite soon. Let's talk about how problematic, first, before we get into the Indaba, how problematic is it to have so much cash circulating in the streets of Gauteng to a point whereby criminals are now so brazen that they can literally shut down a highway and bomb, basically a cash van?
Thank you so much, Tumela. Thanks for the opportunity. It goes beyond that. You might be aware that as a country we have been grey listed. We've been accused by the international community that we can't control our cash management system. That there are funds that are circulating that ended up in the wrong hands. I think that's the first part. The second part is part of our broad Gauteng anti-crime strategy that we've deployed. You will see that we are making changes in terms of the motor vehicle, because a motor vehicle is at the center of all criminal activities in our province. Either the car is stolen, or the registration number is forged, or the car has been hijacked. So if we have to fight crime in our province, the car is at the center. Motor vehicle is the center of it. And in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll make new announcement to ensure that the motor vehicles in our province cannot be forged, and it will be very difficult to hijack without us being in a position to track or retrieve. The third area, which another area, is that we don't know what is happening in our streets. So as a province, we are taking over the cameras that are owned by Sandral. We're installing almost 8,000 cameras across our province so that we can track everyone or whoever that has committed crime in our province. But the last part, which is very key, which is the reason why we have invited me to this session, is that criminals are doing everything to hunt cash. So if you remove cash, we might be convinced that the cash in transit will be minimal. If you remove cash, we might be convinced that the ATM bombings will be minimal. If you remove cash, we might be convinced that those that are conducting business robberies, either are taking petrol station businesses, it will be minimal. And it was within that context that we've been on the road show to engage with various stakeholders, the companies that are distributing money, the banks, the retail industry, the liquor industry. We've been consulting them. So tomorrow is a culmination of all these consultations so that we can then develop a roadmap. Yeah. We want to argue as Gauteng that we want to be the first province to go cashless from the 1st of April next year, but we want to argue that the entire province must go cashless from the 1st of January 2026, so that we've got 2 years to plan and strategize. And the session tomorrow will build those building blocks towards Agenda 2026.
It sounds to me like the work has already started from behind the scenes, because in a tweet you also, gave recognition and credit to the hospitality industry, especially hotels. You say they're cooperating nicely with you already regarding moving cashless. I just wonder, even if there's an appreciation of the efforts, will it not be at the expense of other criminal activities being exacerbated? We see with online financial crime, we see with banks struggling. So while we're trying to solve one aspect of crime, are there other ways to ensure that it doesn't move the criminals, probably listening to our conversation right now, Premier, and re-strategizing, now exacerbating and increasing capacity in another form of crime?
Obviously, criminals don't sleep. They will try, but we really believe it will have a minimum effect in terms of loss of lives. If you check the cash heist, if you check the bank robberies, if you check the business robberies, they're scary. and they leave people who either shot by police, and we really believe the online has a minimum. It's not going to eradicate that. But we also want to argue, and that's the reason why in the Indaba, that the banks must also strengthen their online systems. But they also must play their part and come to the party in terms of the interest that they are charging and also the fees that they are charging. We must agree that those particular fees must be as minimum as possible, and that the sector must regulate those particular fees. Right. We also feel that the law enforcement agencies, especially the SAPS, they must also strengthen their capabilities to investigate cyber crimes and also strengthen their team that are working on cyber crime related matters. But the removal of cash is inevitable. No one ever thought that the checkbook will be history in our country. No one ever thought that the checkbook will be discontinued. And we really believe cash can also follow that particular route as well.
Well, thank you so much, Premier, for speaking to us. Hopefully we can have a conversation again post the Cashless Indaba and also see what are some of the outcomes of the Indaba in moving this plan of intervention forward. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, I leave it there with you. Thank you so much for your time.